If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 421 of Picks and Ponies right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I am your very proud host, Howard Kravitz, and boy, do we have a great show for you tonight. One of the most highly anticipated guests on this show, who we've had on before, but it's been a hot minute, is back. The Big A, Anthony Stabile, is joining us to cover what is one of the best sequences of the summer meet. It's the Saratoga mandatory pick 5 on Saturday for Whitney Day that ends, of course, in the Whitney Stakes, which is going to be some incredible matchup. Thank you very much for joining us. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button, the bottom right hand side of the screen, notification bell on the top right, and smash that like button under the video player. You hit that thumbs up button, it'll send people to the HHH Racing Podcast and will help us out a great deal. You can listen to us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Of course, follow us on X or Twitter at HHH Racing Pod. It'll be on my name tag as well. The tip sheet, again, it's rocking and rolling. Check it out. Look below the video player for information about our Power Picks tip sheet on Saturdays. And we've got a great website, hhhracingpodcast.com. And finally, we are sponsored by a few different organizations, but most importantly, the Adelphi Racing Club. Matt Cuter, racing manager, does a great job. Go to the website, adelphiracing.com. As actually, they've got a runner on Sunday. We've got a runner coming up next week in a stake, either at Presque Isle or at Saratoga, that I have a piece of. So I'm going to have a lot of interest in the racing, even more than normal, at Saratoga. All right, we got a lot of people in the chat. We're going to bring on Anthony here in just a second. We got Steve Pogel is ready to rock and roll. Steve, I'm hoping we get an Anthony Stabile Hambletonian pick. That's right, it's the Hambletonian this weekend at the Meadowlands, and ask when he might return to Finger Lakes. We will get that answer as well. Ralph Conti representing another Italian. Hi, Anthony. Good to have you on the show. I know Anthony's in the background. They're all lining up. Terry Frank from St. Louis is here. What's up, Terry? Marco Lou, let's hit this pick 5. Couldn't agree with you more, Marco. Boy, we've got Mark Bogaz is here. Sylvain Paul House. Got another. Look, the Italians are coming out big time. Whoops, sorry. Mike Carmoli, welcome, Big A. All right. People are going to want Anthony on. I'm not going to waste too much more time here, but thanks for joining us. After the interview with Anthony, we are going to have the second half of our taped interview with Vic Stauffer regarding the very controversial decision last Sunday in a race at Del Mar. So again, after we're done with Anthony, don't leave. We have about a 15-minute taped segment with Vic Stauffer part 2 based on the part 1 from Tuesday. All right, let's bring on right now. I'm a huge fan of this gentleman. He's been a NYRA analyst, called races at Finger Lakes. He's going to clear the air a little bit for some nonsense that's been, going on about people are asking about him. He's right here to answer all the questions. Let's bring him on, the one and only, the clean-shaven Big A, Anthony Stabile. Anthony, so happy to have you on, man. How you doing?
Fresh to death, as they would say on the old Thursday night Jersey Shore episode. Yeah. I was telling you before we went on the air, too many. A few people asked, a few of my buddies asked me, did you do that because the trade deadline's over? As you see, I'm a big diehard New York Mets fan.
Yes, we know.
I said, no, I wish I could tell you that. I've had 4 out of 5, 8 or 9 times already at the meet. So something had to give. And of course, I mean, the first thing you change is your facial hair. So the beard's gone.
Yeah, the Mets having a good season. My Cubs are struggling a little bit lately, but they're having a solid season. Really, complete side note, but I know you're a big baseball fan. Real damn shame with Ryan Sandberg passing of cancer on Sunday. He was a hero of mine growing up. I'm sure you watched him play a lot on WGN back in the day.
It's been a little bit of a rough run for us 40 somethings. I'm 48. I'll be completely honest, forthright. I am still not right over the death of Hulk Hogan. I was actually at Madison Square Garden the night he beat the Iron Sheik. My parents took me. I was 6 years old. So I was there the night Hulkamania was born. And I'll be honest, I joke around. It's, a part of your childhood died. A lot of my childhood died last Thursday. So it's all I got left of my Mets. Easy Goer's been gone a long time. Right when I was a kid, it was Mets, wrestling, Hogan, and Easy Goer. Easy Goer's been gone 20 years since my flag, so almost 20 years. And Hogan's gone now. So all I got left from my childhood really my Mets and my mom, thank God. So hopefully, I think it's going to be us in the NLCS. I told Alan Carasso this on Twitter. I think it's going to be Mets Cubs NLCS this year. I really do.
I take that. We need to get our pitching staff healthy, but that'd be really exciting. Tom Espinoza, you see on the bottom of the screen, Anthony, is from San Francisco. He said the Mets came to San Fran and swept his Giants, so that's a nice job for the Mets. They're having a good season. Anthony, here's what I want to do before we get started. You mentioned before the show you want to get something off your chest. There's been some nonsense rumors. What a shock that horse racing Twitter is full of nonsense. But I know you want to clear the air a little bit about your health and maybe, when you'll be back at Finger Lakes, etc. So I'll give you a minute or two. The floor is yours, sir. You can say whatever you'd like to say.
Yeah. So last year I missed 4 weeks up there. I had kidney stones the second time I missed some time. And thanks to Matt Dinnerman, as always, for filling in those weeks. The first time I had an infection, I battle these infections sometimes. This year, a little bit different. My doctors noticed that some of my blood work was not jiving with the past. And I've lost 44 pounds so far this year already. And you would imagine that would have helped things, but it didn't. And we kind of narrowed it down to, of all things, I'm not even kidding, Howard, when I say this, hiking retention. So Finger Lakes is about 750 feet above sea level. And when I go up there, I retain all my water. So I would go up there, literally, I'm an Italian, I'm a Howard Beach mama's boy. Mom would cook for me. I'd bring prepared food up there to not eat out and stuff. And every now and then I would go out, but I'd come home, I'd gain 6 or 7 pounds. And I'm telling you, eating what I was quote unquote, supposed to eat, and we couldn't figure it out. And they did some analysis of the blood work for the 7 tests I've taken over the time from right before Finger Lakes to right when I went back. And it was kind of determined that some kidney function and stuff. So I'm on a travel-related medical leave. You've heard me at Yonkers. I'm doing my own podcast, which we'll talk about later. It's funny, somebody brought up the Hambletonian. I'm actually calling the races at the Meadowlands next Friday night. And then the following Friday, I'll be doing the desk with my man, Dave Little. So I'm doing some work. I just can't go in a car for 5.5 hours up there and then back 2.5 days later. And the elevation was killing me with weight loss and getting things under control, hence the 44 pounds. And I still need to get a hip replacement and stuff. But everybody out there who thinks I'm trying to pull a fraud here, I'm not getting paid, I'm not on disability, I am on a medical leave, a travel-related medical leave. I'll produce letters from my doctors if people want to see them. Like, I've wanted to be a racetrack announcer since I was 8 years old. Todd Hyde and the people at Finger Lakes gave me that opportunity to have my own booth last year. And I'm not going to try to scoff it away. I hope to be back in the fall.
That'd be great. We love hearing.
So I hope to be back in the fall.
You do a great job. And I started as a harness player, so I listened to you at the Yonkers, and I love the Meadowlands card coming up on Saturday, which we're not going to talk about. So get yourself healthy, man. That is absolutely number one. Sir. I actually saw you at Nove last summer, and you look great.
No, 2 summers ago. 2 summers ago.
2 summers ago.
No, three summers ago.
I saw you.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, we all deal with the weight thing, but most importantly, get better, man. That's the most important thing. Katie's one of our most popular fans. Anthony needs to get Howard on his show now. So Katie wants you as part of the HHH Racing podcast. I'll tell you what, my friend, we're doing very well, and I do pay. So you and I might need to talk about that off air. So I'd love to have you on as a regular.
Right now, if you want. Yeah, maybe she meant come on the big time with the big A, which we absolutely will do. There'll be a new episode soon.
On your show. Sorry, I didn't read it carefully. I'd love to get you on, my friend.
But we can talk about that later as well.
I'd love to get you on.
And yeah, we'll get on doing the pod, and it's been great so far. Nobody's ever done a horse racing talk like a talk show, a traditional talk show.
Yeah.
And I got some new fun segments coming up. There'll be some new episodes in a few weeks. Just going through some personnel changes, and you're going to see some big things from that from the program. Yeah. So
now I'd be honored to come on your show if you. That's what I like to do. I like the talk show kind of format. That's why I bring comments in the chat. I don't like a lot of taped episodes. I like to be live and let things roll. Jim Pillar's last thing, and we'll get to Saratoga. Jim Pillar's is from Buffalo. He said, knowing Todd Hates, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Height. Just like inches, yeah.
I'm sure he'll hold your position. Excited to have you back at the lake. So Jim's got a little inside intel knowing Todd. So Jim wishes you well. All right. Let's get to
Bill Downs, by the way. Shout out to Bill Downs, who's been doing a tremendous job up there holding down the fort. So he's doing a really good job. Let's
go and talk about the late pick 5, Anthony. I'll let you promote your podcast at the end. Now, I actually didn't preface this with you, but you're a professional, so I know that you'll be all good. I don't want to talk in a lot of details, but Anthony, outside of this pick 5 that we're going to talk about, is an unbelievable 2-year-old race, and it's the Saratoga Special. I don't know if you looked at it, but there are 2 horses, 2 2-year-olds, Ewing, the number 1, and Obliteration, the number 6. Anthony, I've been in this game a long time, as you have. I'm not sure I've seen more exciting 2-year-olds with higher buyer and speed figs at this time of year facing each other than Ewing versus Obliteration. That is going to be a complete throwdown in race 3 on Saturday. Have you looked at that race at all?
Yeah, I would imagine, and of course with the unfortunate, we lost Dazzle Doro this week.
Yes.
Unfortunately in a training accident. Thoughts and prayers with Tom Amos, who's a friend and was a colleague, and really a shame because he added some intrigue to the race. I would imagine with the draw, Obliteration has to get the nod here. I love the fact that Steve is keeping up with the series. Obviously with the series a little stretched out this year because of Stars and Stripes weekend. There's a real chance, I think, for a horse to sweep all 3 for the first time. Is it a Fleet Alex? I think a Fleet Alex might have been the last one to sweep all 3. And if it wasn't him, it might have been him.
I'll tell you what, one of my favorite memories of Saratoga back in the day, at least back in the day for me, was a horse named Dehair, who I think also swept that series, right? Dehair was awesome. I come from behind her, which is unusual.
Ronaldo Nobles. Yeah, absolutely. He was a nice horse. He was the same crop as Holy Bull. And I want to say the Champagne, they put on quite a show in the Champagne, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this is a fantastic race. Like you said, we usually get deprived of these matchups until the hopeful. But these 2, slight nod to Obliteration. There's 74 pick 5s on Saturday. This is part of 2 of them. I joke around. I go to my buddy Andy's house, and I'm there most weekends during Saratoga. And part of my job is to make the announcement before the racing start, pick like a casino announcement. Pick 5s available in races 1, 3, 5, 7. And so I think it's actually 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. 1, 3, 5,
I think
7,
so.
5.
It's gonna be one of the best racing cards of the summer. It's just fantastic. Let's go ahead and get to race 7, Anthony, because race 7 is the beginning of the late pick 5. And by the way, people are wondering,
not the late.
Paul?
This is not the late one.
Excuse me. The mandatory, the mandatory pick 5 that ends in the Haskell. That ends in the Whitney. Sorry, I don't even know what we're calling it. It's the mandatory pick 5. So it's almost all stakes, but it's not quite. People are wondering, where's Pete? Where's Paul? Did the Big A replace them? No. Paul Halloran is in Saratoga doing coverage for the Saratoga Special, and he's busy doing that. And then Pete Visco, as we mentioned last weekend, is out of town with family. So I thought this would be a perfect show tonight to bring on the Big A, so we have them all show long. Let's go and get to this special pick 5. It is a doozy, and it starts, Anthony, in race 7. Allowance optional 75,000 claimings. I bring it up on screen here. A huge field of 14. The morning line favorite is the number 11, Credit Worthy for Chad and Flavia, and there is one also eligible. And I don't know about you, Anthony, as we'll bring up your picks here in a second. this is what makes Saratoga so great. These loaded allowance races, amongst, of course, the grade ones and the, and the 2-year-old races, but this allowance race is very difficult and absolutely loaded. Let's see where we're going. On the bottom of the screen, scrolling, I'm going 3, 5, 11, and Anthony is going to go 1, 11, 13. Anthony, you're going to start this pick 5 with the number 1, Hold My Bourbon, for Safi on Jose Ortiz, 10-1 morning line. He's going to show some speed. I guess the question is, can he wire the field, or is that the only way he can win?
I don't think it's the only way he can win, Howard. I think he's going to have to leave for some position, but I do believe that he can just save some ground. And Jose Ortiz has been riding fantastically. And if you cut this horse's form up and you look at his one-turn races are very good, save the Maxfield, in which he did not run with the benefit of Lasix. If you take apart his form, his one-turn races are really, really good. And I think last time out is a good indication, because to me, that was easily his best 2-turn race on any surface. And he ran so well around 2 turns last time. That's with the blinkers back off. He began his career without blinkers. I think that's a fantastic indicator that this horse is just going good right now. If you throw the turf race out, I mean, he didn't run particularly well in either of his turf races. So if you throw the turf race out from 2 back, this horse is going really good right now. And his one-turn races are sensational. He's going to offer some value. Listen, Chad could obviously win this race. I picked the horse second. Credit Worthy was very good first time on the dirt, last time out, albeit in an off-the-turf race. Don't get me wrong. But you got to find some value in this race, because you asked for 3 picks. I could have given you 6. I'm using 6. On one of my tickets in here, I'm using 6 horses, including your top pick, including your top 3 picks, actually. I mean, this is a crapshoot. It's easily the most competitive race on a card. When can you say an allowance race is the most competitive race on a card with 5 stakes races on the card? You can't.
Unbelievable. And we're big fans of DRF and time form, and Craig Malkowski, I think, does a great job. Do you agree with this pace scenario that you think the 1 absolutely has? You disagree a little bit. You don't think the 1 has to send. My issue, Anthony, is if the 2 is in the race, that might cause a problem, because he wants speed and there's other horses that are going to come down from the outside. I like your pick. I love the creativity. I'm just not so sure the pace situation is going to work out.
See, I would switch the 1 and the 5. I think it's a 2-5 battle, and Jose just saves the ground. I don't think this horse has to go from the rail. You got to remember too, those paces at Churchill between the run up and they're not as fast as 21-2 in these sprint races isn't really 21-2 because of the run up. So sometimes these horses, and look, here's the other thing that we didn't even talk about yet. These Churchill dirt shippers have been winning at like a 23% clip. And I'm not the biggest stat guy in the world. For those of you who used to watch me on Talking Horses, I'm not the biggest stats guy in the world. I can literally tell you I never put one of those stats up. Andy did them all. Or Maggie or Acacia or whoever I did the show with. David Aragona a few times. I think this goes 2-5. Part of the reason I'm using, and again, I don't have my top 3, but I'm using the 2 and the 5 in my sequence. I'm using 1, 2, 3, 5, 11, 13 on a ticket. Part of the reason I'm doing that, somebody could get loose. One of those 2 horses could get loose. Barksdale could get loose in here. And I am not letting Will Walden beat me in any sequence where he's double digits on the morning line. Sorry, it's not happening. It's just not. I saw that maiden win the other day. She was 3 wide around both turns and ran away like she was an Abel. I'm good. That guy will be on all the tickets. I don't care what it costs me.
Yeah. I found this to be a very difficult race. I'm going to admit that number 3 Echo again for me, Anthony, is a soft top pick. But here's my thinking here. I like the form that he's in right now. He's a gun runner. He seems to be actually improving. I don't think it's the wet, because he's 0 for 6 on wet. So the fact that he's running through a stat that's not good for him, and he's running well, Johnny V's going to save ground with the 1 possibly going, the 2 definitely going. I think he sits the right trip. There's really no killers in here. I have a ton of respect for Norm Cassie. And again, I'm picking similar to you. I got to go with the price here. I credit worthy to me is interesting because he's going
Howard, I want to add one thing about your
to
horse.
take a lot of money.
I found. I want to add one thing about your pick. He was gelded 3 starts back.
Go ahead.
He was gelded 3 starts back. And that,
yeah,
I think, has what's been – I love the fact that Norm gave him one off the layoff before gelding him, because you can't get a great gauge. If you're running a horse off of – and this was only a 2-month layoff, but he still ran him once before cutting him. I think that's very important. Lasix, blinkers, because you can't get a great gauge with a horse off a layoff. What if the horse needed a race? I like that he waited 1 start to geld him off of the little break. And now his form, he hasn't put 3 races like that together ever. And again, in a sequence that I think, look, credit worthy can win. You want a horse that's going to be 8, 10, 12 to 1. He's another one of those horses in this race that I don't think you could overlook.
No, look, the horse can win, but he's never been beyond 6. He got an absolute dream trip last time, Anthony, and he's going to take a lot of money for the 11 hole. This is one of these horses that you have to use, but he's going to be overbet here, Anthony, and he's also never been on fast dirt, and it's going to be beautiful this weekend. So to me, the 11's got a lot of questions to answer here. I'm going to use him, but I don't love him. He's not going to be one of my. Well, you can see I've got him 3rd. You've got him 2nd. I think there's other more interesting horses like the ones we chose, frankly.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, you can't bet this. You can't take 5 to 2 or 2 to 1 on this horse in the win pool if you're betting this race vertically. No. You have to go and find a horse like we. And listen, I never open a form and say I'm going to find one, because the truth of the matter is the horse you have on the screen now is probably the most logical horse to take a shot against credit worthy with. Right? I put him 3rd. Yeah. You don't have him in there.
I've got him in the mix. I just have him in the top 3, but Mott and Alvarado have been amazing. I don't love the long layoff here. This horse is really talented. I loved him last year, but he was a bit inconsistent, and this is just a really tough this is a tough start back. But it's interesting that Anthony, that Mott waited till Whitney Day to bring this horse back. To me, that matters, because he could bring him back on any day in Saratoga. But these trainers don't want to embarrass themselves on one of the biggest days of the year. So I'm sure this one's ready. I'm using him. I'm just going some other directions.
Yeah. He's never won at 7, but he's hit the board in 4 or 5 starts.
Sure.
7's such a tricky distance. I think he has to get a little respect for that. I am the biggest. I mean, I'm the biggest Bill Mott fan that's ever been born in the history of the world. So, yeah, I'm not going to let that horse beat me. But like I said, 2, 3, 5, 111. I picked the race 111, 13. I'm using the 2, 3, and 5 as well on a big ticket.
I didn't talk about Dilger, the 5. That's the other Safi. I like that one. Showed speed to Gulfstream and a nice, classy animal. It's got to prove it over Saratoga. There's a lot of ways to go. Anthony, the next 4 races are all G1s. I mean, unbelievable. 4 grade 1s in a row. They're all great races. By the way, I met Sovereignty in person when I was at Saratoga a few weeks back, and we had Junior Alvarado. Junior Alvarado is we're a big fan because Paul Howard, my co-host, knows Bill Mott and knows the Godolphin people very well, because he's writing a book on Cody's Wish, which is going to come out next spring. So we're big fans of Godolphin and Mott and Alvarado on the show. Really classy guys. Sovereignty was so cool to meet in person. I met Irma also. I wanted to ask for some carrots, but I didn't want to overstay my welcome there. So
I know I know Irma about as long as she's been with Bill. Since I'm a young, I never say little kid anymore. Since I'm a young kid, I was never really little.
Fourstardave, here we go. 352 local, grade 1, $750,000, $750,000 on the inner turf. Let me start with this, Big A. 2 things. First of all, I'm really happy that Johannes is here, because I always thought he should go out east last year. I'm not saying they were dodging, but if you're really that good, you don't just stay in California all year. That's just my personal thing. So I'm glad he's here, number 1. And number 2, I got to be honest, with More Than Looks, retired, and Carl Spackler, I don't know what the hell they're doing with him in Europe, but that's a whole other conversation. I got to be honest, this mile division, and even the older turf division, the distance turf division, no bueno, Big A. This is a great spot for Johannes to prove. I know he's off the layoff, but this is a great chance for the connections that prove that this horse is the real deal. However, I am not putting him on top, and neither are you. I'm going 6-3-4, and you are going 4-3-6. So, Anthony, we're thinking similarly in different order. Let's talk about one of your plays of the sequence, which we'll talk about at the very end. The number 4, Think Big, for Stidham and Saez, was very impressive last time. Again, going 2 turns for the first time, beating Intellect. What do you like about Think Big in the Fourstardave on Saturday, Anthony?
You know, I know the buyer figures are a smidge higher in a couple of his sprint races, but I mean, I thought his race last time was sensational. I loved him last time. I made a few bucks with him.
Should we watch it? Should we watch the stretch run?
Sure. You could show me a $15 winner that I had any day of the week.
Well, Intellect is the 2, and the turf was very speed favoring this weekend, 4th of July weekend. Intellect made an early move after Donegal Momentum made that weird step. Intellect, you're going to see it coming up, and Intellect is the 2 who I like, who I thought moved early, although I think Flavian felt like he had to. And Think Big just got a fantastic trip in behind the 3. Actually, he's in front right now, but you're going to see just a second. Donegal Momentum, by the way, is fine, everyone. He just sort of took a bad step, but he's fine. Here's Intellect making that early move, and Think Big with a very patient ride. I think it was Jose, right? Comes up the inside, nabs him. Talk about the stretch run here.
So I think the horse that was affected the most was Think Big, because he was right. Jose was right inside of him, and you saw Jose steady a little bit, not knowing what was going to happen, kind of protecting Javier a little bit in the horse. And then once he kind of got his bearings back, he leveled off and came at these horses nicely. This was this horse's first time around 2 turns on the grass. Before he transferred to the turf, he ran Stidham ran him once going 1.125 miles at Keeneland. And then they went 1.125 miles to 5.5 on the grass, and his career completely took off. I don't like to – I almost shot myself there. I don't like to necessarily go after riders for no reason. If you give me a reason, I will go after you, Florent Giroux.
Any riders in mind? Any riders in mind?
No problem going after these guys and gals. I have no idea what Ben Curtis was doing in the Jaipur. Was watching the race at Mohegan Sun, and I remember turning to my friend and saying to myself, he'll never see the back of this horse again, because he kind of kept dodging the bullet. He just got there in the Shaker Town. He just got there in the turf sprint on Derby Day. And it was kind of like, how many times are you going to dance with the devil before you get dumped on your head? And I don't know what went on in the Jaipur, but Jose gave him a brilliant ride. Now, Jose leaves to ride My Boy Prince. That is expected. You are going to ride. He is going to ride for Mark Casse. No, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Period. End of story. Do I think Jose thinks My Boy Prince is a better horse than Think Big? Not in a gazillion years. But he's got to ride for his guy. With that said, I get one of my favorite riders on the planet, Luis Saez, aboard. I think off of that little bit of hesitation in that trip last time, he gets an even better trip in here. You know, he has My Boy Prince to go. Deterministic's not going to get a free ride on the front end. You got to figure Casse sending My Boy Prince or Win for the Money, somebody to go keep Deterministic company. Which one it is, I don't know. But I got to think Jose gets out of there, can get around the horse like Johannes. He can certainly get around Coutinho, because Coutinho is not really that fast out of the gate from the rail. And you got to think this horse is Louis going to be able to get this horse a complete perfect trip again. And he's 6-1 morning line. I know Johannes comes in with some
credentials.
Thank you. I was losing it. But man, this Tim Yak team doesn't ship out of there often. This horse's one time leaving California was the only time he's been off the board. You know, he's the 5-2 morning line favorite, and I respect him. But he's been racing on an island out there in California. Save his Breeders' Cup. What's he running against? I don't know what he's
totally.
learned.
Now, the Breeders' Cup, he did run well, though. You got to give him credit.
Ran
I know it
great.
was on his home base, but he ran really
Best
well.
race of his career by far. By far, it was the best race of his career.
Not only that, Anthony, they got a lot of rain today, and they'll probably be off the turf tomorrow, I'm guessing, but it's not going to be firm Saturday. They might list it as firm, but there's going to be a little give in it. We have no idea. Now, maybe Johannes will run better. We have no idea, but he's never been on any turf that's not firm as hell either. So, and he's off a layoff. I just think he's the kind of horse you should try to beat Saturday, even though we have a ton of respect.
He actually broke his maiden, Howard, on a course labeled good.
Okay.
Opening week, he did. But I mean, look, he obviously has to be respected. But I think a lot of people are going to look. I think the tote board goes one of two ways here. He's either dead as disco or he's extremely overbet. Because people are going to think like we're thinking. This is a depleted division right now.
He is going to be bet. I would take part two of what you said there.
I would agree.
Let me talk about intellect. I've been chasing this horse since his North American debut, Anthony. I thought in the Keeneland race, he was way too far back. It was his first start, and that came back fast. In the poker, he was also too far back in a turf race that held on and made a huge run. I made a big win bet. I'm as you know, Anthony, from our show and just knowing me personally, we met several times. I'm not going to BS anyone. I know you aren't either. I made a big bet at intellect in the Kelso, and I think Flavian moved too soon. His final 6 furlongs, Anthony. I'm a math guy, if you remember. Also, my 29th year of math teaching is coming up in a few weeks. He had his final 6 furlongs, Anthony, in 109-1. That was Intellect's final 6 furlongs. And if you look at the internal splits, and I know you're not a stats guy, but I know you look at pace a lot. When you look at the internal splits, let me put them on screen. Look at this second quarter. Look at this second and third quarter. 22, almost 23, and then 23 again. He was like 46 in the middle of the race. Yeah, and we saw that on video with that middle move. If he just waits a little bit longer, which I think Flavian will, I think he's just as good as Think Big. So if everyone out there likes Think Big, I don't see how you don't like intellect. I will say this, though. He's going to have to time it out perfectly. This is a very good field. He's going to have to time it out. But just like Think Big, and we are thinking similarly, he's also going to be a little bit of a price. And I think he's super talented. If he just times it out right and gets the right trip, I think he can get there. You don't disagree fully. You've got him third.
No, not at all. He looks like he might be a little bit of a tricky horse to ride. I'm going to tell you what I didn't like. He kind of got out kicked in that Keeneland race by El Razine, who's a marathoner, and that kind of bugged me a little bit about him. It's why I didn't go after. It's like you said, you've been chasing him, so you've been chasing him. This is why it's the greatest game on the planet. You've been chasing him off of a race that I've been avoiding him off of.
That's funny. Well, I mean, he was off a year though, Anthony. I mean,
no, I know. No, listen. There's nothing wrong with this horse, and there's a scenario tomorrow where Chad still hasn't won this, right? Is that accurate? Chad has not won the Fourstardave?
Correct. I believe that's right. Yeah, it's amazing.
It would be something if he won it with this horse in a wide open. I mean, it's,
Actually, he hasn't won the Diana. He has won the Fourstardave. I don't know with who, but he hasn't won the Diana. I believe that's the race that he hasn't won yet for some bizarre reason. But
no, Chad's won like 10 Dianas.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's the Fourstardave.
It's this, I think. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. I'm effing up tonight. Anyway, it's going to be a great race. Down Momentum's a really nice horse for my boy Miguel. I mean, we didn't even mention really him. I mean, I think he's going to get caught up in some speed. I know I respect some people, Anthony, who think Cugino's going to run a big race second off the layoff as an improving 4-year-old. I mean, that's a very tough race.
I think Andy Serling said last time when he won the allowance race, he beat Big Everest. Big Everest came back and ran really well when he won at Saratoga. Yep. Andy said he thought he might be the best player in this division. So I wouldn't be surprised if you go on Talking Horses Saturday and that's who you see Andy picking. I don't see them going 45 and change to set it up for this horse. But
yeah, I agree with you on that.
But maybe he's improved. I don't know. He's not for me, but
I agree.
Good luck if you betting him.
Let's go on the next race, and I have a pretty big opinion here, and this is a big key to my pick 5 on Saturday. This race right here. It's the Saratoga Derby invitational, so invite only, grade 1, another $750,000 purse, mile and 3/16 on the turf, restricted 3-year-olds, and there's a very nice Euro coming in who's been facing absolute monsters this year. The number 7, Hot as Hell, Jamie Harrington, a very good trainer, Shane Foley, a good rider. These connections are very good. A lot of people don't really know them here in the States, but they're solid. David Aragona put this horse 7-5. We both know that Aragona is the best morning line maker in the country. I think he's probably right about the 7-5. I think test score will definitely be lower than 7-2. I think he's a little bit wrong on that one. But let's see who we're going here. I'm going 3-5-7. This is the first time Anthony's seeing my picks. And Anthony's going 5-7-4. So we are both trying to beat this nice Euro. You're going with the horse that I absolutely love in general, and that is number 5, test score for Motion and Franco.
I racked my brain, Howard, looking at this race, and it wasn't really to handicap it. I couldn't find the speed. And the truth of the matter is, I think test scores the speed on Saturday.
You think he's going?
I think he's going. I don't think he's going to have a choice unless they plan on going 26 and change, which I guess can. I mean, they go 25 going a mile and a 16th in allowance races. So,
well, look at that, Anthony. You must look at this.
I didn't look at it. I mean, but if you know how to read a racing form, he has to be in front. Here's the only other horse, and I don't look at pace projector. The only other horse who could go would be New Century. And it's a rad. So if you reverse the riders and you told me Manny was on New Century, New Century's going to the lead. He's going to take a seat off of him. I would imagine Irad thinks he can get New Century home. Now, I don't think much of New Century, period. I don't think New Century is a player in here unless they really walk the dog on the front end. But I can't base handicapping a race on hoping they walk the dog. I mean, I'm talking about a horse maybe going to the lead who had 3 horses beaten going down the backstretch of the American turf. But it's that kind of race. It's the kind of race where I just don't know who else makes the lead here. And Manny likes to be aggressive. You look at the form, you keep going over it, unless somebody has some wild idea here. I mean, I tried to.
Well, Anthony, Hot as Hell has been Ford, but Ford in Europe is not the same thing as Ford here. So, and by the way, in terms of walking the dog, I hope you didn't see the Sussex win in your in race or the 65 to 1 shot. That was supposedly a pace setter. Her Field of Gold actually won one of the biggest upsets in British racing history. So, look, it doesn't just happen in New York, my friend. It seems to happen all over the world. But yeah, I think Franco should be aggressive here and at least be forward. I don't think he needs the lead, but I agree. And you know what? I think he can run all day. I think distance will be fine. Looking at Lucky out of a Kitten's Joy mare, I like this horse a lot. So I think he can win, for sure. Let me talk about my top pick, and then we'll talk about Hot as Hell, the 7. Final Gambit, to me, is fascinating. Now, I know that he's mainly a closer. However, this is going to be a little bit contradictory, but usually in slow-paced races, you would say, Howard, why do you like a closer? If it's slow-paced, Anthony, as you know, it's going to bring Final Gambit more into the race. He's not going to be nearly as far back, which actually I think is going to work well for him. In the Belmont Derby last time, and this was Flavian's second time riding him, I really don't know. This is when test score won. I don't really know what Flavian was doing, and I want to show the backstretch. Test score is the 5. New Century, by the way, who I totally agree with you, I don't like at all, is the 4. And Final Gambit is the 6. And let me just show from the backstretch into the stretch here. So let me go a little bit further back. Final Gambit is the 6 here, and actually I can do a little further back to prove my point. He was closer. I don't know if you guys can see behind the bushes here. He's like, and then for some reason, like, I don't know why, Anthony, he like drug him back even further. Like, I don't know what he's doing here. I found it weird. Now he's in last without any trouble at all. Okay. I don't know what that was about. But in the stretch, he finally gets going. He wants to be on the outside. And right here, Anthony, right here in the gray, he's behind this wall. And I think he had run. You see, he's a big horse. he had to tip out. He didn't really trouble, but he had to tip out. Once he got into the clear, and people are going to say, Howard, he sucks right now. Give me a second. Here's test score winning. Once he gets out into the clear and away from everyone, here's his locomotive coming. And look at this gallop out. And I'm big on gallop outs, Anthony. I think it's important to watch it. You can't even see it. He's already in front of everyone there. Here he is. Look at this. I mean, ridiculous. So here's my thinking, Anthony. With the blinkers on, he's going to be up a little bit closer. And I want Pratt to ride this horse, Anthony, like he was ridden in the Jeff Ruby Stakes. Like, I don't care if he's 4, 5, 6 wide. I don't care. This is a locomotive this is like Sierra Leone 2.2 or 2.0. Get him in the clear, let him roll, and I really think he's got a lot of talent and can run these horses down. I know you don't have him anywhere, so you disagree, but I feel very strong that Final Gammon's going to run a big race at a price on Saturday.
I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you one thing. That guy's not riding well right now. He's making a lot of mistakes.
I don't think it's going to happen Saturday. I hope he does do it.
He's making a lot of mistakes.
Right.
I think, I'll be honest with you, I think he's been exposed a little bit.
Wow.
I was never his biggest fan, by the way. I was
Really?
never his biggest fan.
I
think he's getting exposed a little bit.
Okay. New Century, I couldn't agree with you more. I don't understand the love for this horse. I don't think this horse wants distance. I don't care if it's IRAD, you or me riding. I don't get it. Now, let me talk about Hot as Hell, and then we'll end the conversation. I've watched a lot of his races, and obviously Hot as Hell can win, Anthony. This horse is losing ground almost every time the stretch. Now, I know this is Saratoga, and Euros can get more distance in America, blah, blah, blah. I'm not convinced he wants this distance. I think this is a decent American group of 3-year-olds. So I question the distance. I don't know what kind of ride he's gotten. He's never been outside of Europe. I think he peaked as a 2-year-old.
100%.
I don't like this horse, and if he wins, I'll come on and say I'm a complete moron. I don't like this horse, especially as the heavy favorite Saturday. I don't.
I'm not going to go as far as say I don't like him, but I think you might be 100% right. And this horse just did not take the step forward from 2 to 3. And you know what? You see that a lot over there, and I think part of the reason is they race them more than we race our 2-year-olds.
They do. He had 6 starts last year.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, that mile and a quarter race, he was just even. He was even the last quarter of a mile. He didn't really do much.
He was. Now look, Field of Gold and Delacroix and Ombudsman and Ruling Court would be 2 to 5. Forget that.
Right.
1 to 10 in this
100%.
race. But and a lot of people are going to point to that who understand Euro form and the form lines. But when you watch those races in the Irish Derby, the 2000 Guineas and the Coral Eclipse, he's not. He doesn't. I don't like his action and stretch. He doesn't. He looks like a smaller bodied horse. I don't know.
I watched the last race. I actually watched the last race as I was coming on today. He looked like a tired horse.
I agree.
That
was on good to firm turf courses. That wasn't really soft turf courses either. So no. I don't know. I could be. This is the one horse I could look like a complete fool on Saturday afternoon, or look really smart. So I don't know. We'll find out. Let's go ahead and move on, Anthony. We got 2 more grade 1s. The Test. I know you're a huge fan of this race because I've heard you over the years talk about. This is just a great race for 3-year-olds only. Let me show it on screen for the fillies. Whoops, sorry, one side. There we go. 7 furlongs, of course, $500,000 on the dirt. I wouldn't say this field is like tremendous. This edition is okay this year, but there are some good ones. The favorites are number 6, Echo Sound for Rusty Arnold, who I have mad respect for, and Louis Size. Let's see who we're going. Look at this, Anthony. Wow. Great minds think alike. How about this? We're going with the same 3, including my cheeky top pick. Anthony also likes in second. I'm going 3-1-6. You're going 1-3-6. Anthony, we were both going to 1 and 3 as our top 2, just different order. You're going to go with Mott and Alvarado with Ragtime at 4-1 from the rail, who's looked about as impressive as a horse can in her first 2 starts.
Yeah. Two races at Saratoga going 7/8. For Bill to put her right into the test off of just 2 races, I don't want to get in his head or put words in his mouth and say this has been the plan all along. But I got to tell you what, Howard, I think 2 7/8 races and running her back fairly quickly for him. 4 weeks, almost like I'm going to get her there. And the best way to do it is to run her a couple of times at 7/8, couple of nice maintenance breezes since the last win. I love the fact that you see her take on a little bit of a workload. Working okay, working well, couple of good races a month apart, doing it again. So she's dealt with the rail. She's dealt with a bulky field. I just feel like she's another one. She's going to kind of get a trip, but you absolutely have the right long look in here, because I'm going to tell you one thing. You want to talk about a one-figure horse. Echo Sound is a one-figure horse coming out of a 4-horse field. I didn't have the guts to do it. I probably should have went 138, because the truth of the matter is, Beauty Reigns had everything against her last time, and this filly had everything going for her last time. Echo Sound, 4-horse field, got the jump, long gone. She's supposed to bounce to the moon, because it's not even like there's a lot of time to come back. It's 4 weeks. It's 4 weeks.
I totally agree.
I just don't get it.
Anthony, there's so many. You and I are either going to have a huge day on Saturday or a bad day, because we agree. There's so many horses that look great on paper Saturday that I'm against, Anthony. I'm not like afraid to play chalks. I'm not one of those people. I play who I think, and I bet with my head, not with my heart. This horse can win again, but you nailed on the head. The only concern I have about Ragtime, and it's not fair to the horse, is that she's been in slow-paced races, getting fantastic trips, and just looking tons the best. This is a major step up in class, number one. Number two, Anthony, she's going to face some serious speed. So I love her. I've got her second. I'd like to see how she's going to run in a race, where they go 22-1 and 45 in a piece, right? Instead of 46 in a piece. That's a 4 or 5 length difference to the half. So that's my only concern.
Yeah, and it's a real concern, but I just think they'll just, to me, being a fan of Bills and just watching how, I just feel like there's so much premeditated. This is like premeditated. Like, this is what he had a plan, he stuck to it. And if you remember when she debuted, she was in a race with Tacitus's little sister. And Tacitus's little sister was 3-1, and she's running on the grass at the end of the card on Saturday. Mm-hmm. He's running her on the grass, and this filly is going to be the second choice or third choice in the test. And you got 21. I think it's about
Surprise, right? Is it Surprise? Who's the right?
It's Resurge.
Okay, Resurge, yeah. Look, she can win for sure. I like Ragtime quite a bit. Let's talk about my top pick. I'm gonna let you go first. Look forward for McCarthy, who I have a ton of respect for. 8-1 on the morning line. What do you like about this filly, who is again going to be a price with Rispoli coming in from California to ride?
Yeah, I just think she's another one here. And she, unlike Ragtime, has dealt with these wicked paces. She's usually right on top of them. And she's able to finish. I love the way she finishes in these races. And to me, I know some people think, Andy used to tell me all the time, you make too big a deal of this. She's undefeated around 1 turn. She's winless around 2 turns. These races set up so much differently that you would just assume that in the 2-turn races, a filly with her speed would be able to just go to the front and lollygag off the front end. But it just doesn't translate for her. And you look at her pedigree, and her pedigree, on paper looks like she's going to run all day. She's just better stalking, pouncing, and she finishes up nicely. It's funny. A 1-turn mile would probably be right in her 7/8 to a 1-turn mile would probably be right in her wheelhouse, because that stalk and pounce, and the fact that it looks like she, Blue Fire, the Asmussen filly, who was running at her late in the 8 bells. more of a sprint pedigree, total complete sprinter. When you look at this filly, it looks like a filly that might want to go long or whatever. She was running at her, and she wasn't making a dent, Howard. She really wasn't getting to her. She was coming home fast. No. The third filly was flying home too. That race at Churchill really impressed me. And the Acorn fell apart. Wet track, the whole thing. She ran great in the Acorn. So she has a race over the track, a fantastic race over the track, going further than she probably wants to go. Now she gets to cut back and do her thing, going 7/8. Sign me up at 8. If she's 8-1, if Ragtime's 3-1 and she's 9-10-1, I'm going to be priced into betting. Look forward.
Yeah, I don't think. I think she's going to be 9-2, 6-1. I don't see her 8-1.
Okay.
She's also faced the best horses, Big A. I mean, she faced Lacara twice. Scotch Lassie freaked last week. I mean, she's just faced the best horses, 2 for 2 at the distance. I don't mind the ship here. There's a lot of things to like about Look Forward. And I don't think Cash Call is very good, by the way. No, that's not a Bob Baffert thing. I don't think that horse is very good. Kilwin's interesting, but we all know that the Churchill dirt is very conducive to turf horses. I just need to see it again from Kilwin, but she was very good last time. I'm using her, Anthony. I think it's a great race. I just don't think Echo Sound has to win. I think 9-5 is probably the right morning line. I wouldn't touch her on the win end anything less than 3-1, frankly.
No, not in that race. That's a wide
not
open
for me.
Race. Because Kilwin, unlike that filly, Kilwin has 2 months from her top. I don't like Kilwin, but if you want to bet one of those Rusty Arnold horses, take the one that's going to be 7-1, 8-1 with the time between races, as opposed to the one who's running off 1 fig.
Yeah, it's going to be a great race, and you said it so well with Look Forward also. Both Look Forward and Ragtime, you don't know. Figure to get really good trips on the inside and then tip out. We'll see what happens. Anthony, here we go. The Whitney, man. I'm sure you could talk about the Whitney forever and stories and races you and I have watched over the years. I mean, this is one of the best renditions I can remember. You've got 3 serious horses in Fierceness, Sierra Leone, White Abarrio. Let me go ahead and bring up the field. It is, of course, a grade 1 named after Mary Lou. It is $1 million purse. It's a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic. It's a really it's a fantastic field of 10. Mindframe the 1 is scratching. Mindframe is not running. I've heard rumblings, Anthony, that Skippy Longstocking is going to go to the Charlestown Classic instead. That has not been made public. I don't know for sure, but I think actually that'd be a very smart move of Safi to do that. The morning line favorite is the number 9, Fierceness, for Pletcher and Johnny V, who is just fantastic. Second choice is a pet of mine for a zillion reasons, the number 5, Sierra Leone. Let's see what Anthony and myself are doing in this race. Look at this, Anthony. I'm going 5-9-3. You agree, my friend. By the way, please clarify for everyone, we did not talk before the show about any of our picks, right? Nope.
I feel bad for you.
If I have the same thoughts as Anthony Stabile, I'm in great company. He's going 5-9-7. My friend, talk about this year's Whitney. You're going to go with Sierra Leone.
I feel bad for you Saturday, sir.
No. We're going to crush it, Anthony Saturday. Don't you worry, my friend.
We need to. I like this horse is a little bit of a head case. And I think Chad knows that because Chad's tried the different blinkers, the different bits, the different riders. And his naysayers will say, well, they had to go 44, 9 and change for him to win the Breeders' Cup. And you know what? We don't really have much of a argument with that. Here's what I will say. The presence of one horse in this race led me to pick Sierra Leone. And that horse is Mama's Gold. Of all horses, Mama's Gold is the reason I'm picking Sierra Leone over
Not the rabbit.
Mama's Gold is a natural rabbit.
He's fast.
Mama's Gold just goes. And when you have a horse like that in a race, there is controlled chaos behind. Now, right, see all the ones, 46, 23, 46, 46, 111. Horse is going to go fast. when a horse like this is in a race, it affects the speed a hell of a lot more than the closers, because the closers are going to do their thing. They're going to sit, wait for the 3/8 pole, and make one run. What do you do on a speed horse when you have this thing 4 in front? And in your mind, no offense to Jonathan Hardoon, who's a good friend for a very long time, this horse has no chance. But the question in your head has to be, and I've never been on top of a racehorse before. I've been behind a few trotters in my life, never been on top of a racehorse. When do you go get this horse?
Right.
Do you wait for this horse to come and get you? Well, guess what? If you go get him too early, you're probably going to go one of those wicked 23 middle quarters. If you wait for him to come back to you, Sierra Leone's already got his big ass ready to roll in gear coming. So it doesn't affect them. All it does is help the horses coming from behind. So with that in mind, because the truth of the matter is, and I think you would, Howard, I think you would agree with this, there's very little separating Sierra Leone and fierceness at this point.
I agree.
There's very little. I think Mama's Gold is the key to the race. And it sounds so ridiculous to say that, but I just see this horse kind of throwing a little monkey wrench into things for fierceness, for Highland Falls. Highland Falls had a little bit of an interesting look to him. I know you picked him third, but he's in the kind of the same boat. His best races when he was forward, when he won the Jockey Club Gold Cup last year, he was never more than a length and a half, 2 lengths off the lead. That's likely not going to be the case on Saturday, because this thing's going to be free running on the lead. And if you go chase this horse early, what are you going to do?
Well, the difference between Highland Falls and Fierce, well, there's a lot. Obviously, Highland Falls is not as talented and he's not as accomplished, but he is going to be able to save ground the whole way. I do like that. So that was one of the fierceness. Obviously, just needs to be comfortable. He's probably won't be wide on the first turn, but he could be. We don't know. The 8 contrary thinking is a rabbit. I have no idea why Chad has not done this earlier. And people that don't like rabbits are going to bitch about rabbits, Anthony. Rabbits have been people have been inserting rabbits throughout the world in turf and dirt for decades. So people want to bitch about that.
Since horse racing
forget. I don't know why they don't do it more often. So I don't want to hear any bitching about that from anyone.
Bullet Train. Frankel never left the post without Bullet Train walking beside him. Never. He's the greatest horse that ever lived, everybody says. I think Bullet Train was his rabbit. My friend Sean Feld stood Bullet Train for a while. He was a 3/4 brother to Frankel. I don't think he left. I think he won 10 times. I think Bullet Train was his rabbit for 7 of them.
Yeah. I like that there's a rabbit in there. Here's why I like Sierra Leone. And Anthony, I don't know if you followed our podcast last year, but we had it was known throughout a lot of horse racing because I put it on X. We had a massive Derby future on Sierra Leone. I was personally alive to $53,000 myself. Wow. The podcast was alive to $152,000. We made $1,000 future bet and after his debut in November at Aqueduct, and we alive to 150 to 1. So we have a history on this horse. I don't want to, obviously we know the result, but it was a fun story for us. Anyway, people like to crap on this horse because he's bet a lot and doesn't always get there. I don't get it. I just don't get it, Anthony. I think this horse is really good. Yes, he's a closer. He's not always going to get his way. People want to crap on him for his first 2 starts this year. Touch Upon a Star is a complete freakazoid when he gets the lead. And Sierra Leone ran a 103 in a race that he wasn't supposed to be ready for anyway. Now, last time at the Stephen Foster, and I was there in person covering for the podcast, Big A, similar to Intellect, they were going relatively slow, and Sierra Leone made a massive middle move. Look at this. Here, look at this middle move. Sub 23 for a dead closer in the middle of the race. And I don't blame Flavian. He had to do it because they were going slow, and he still closed very well and almost beat Mindframe, who I got to tell you is probably as good as Fierceness, if not really damn close. So the fact that he hasn't won this year yet, I think circumstances are a big factor. You know, Chad's got him cranked up for this race. He's going to get pace. I wish it was 1.25 miles. I think he'd be better going 1.25 miles. But if he's second choice at 2 to 1, I'm going to make a very unhealthy wager on Saturday. I'll just tell you that right now.
I think
That's my feeling.
I also think a horse like him, if you want to get into the, to pull the curtain back a little bit,
Sure.
I think running out of his own stall is going to help him. And I think that as they get older, they probably, this sounds ridiculous. It sounds like I'm trying to be a horse whisperer here, but they kind of appreciate that a little bit more, you know? Because look, that pace did help him win the Del Mar. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Right. But again, we talked about good old Mama's Gold. Mama's Gold and his uncoupled entry, man. Somebody asked me on Twitter the other day if I took over as CEO of NYRA, what would be the first three things I would change? One of the things I would change would be the only way I would couple an entry is if one of them was declared a rabbit. That's it. There'd be no in any races. In Playman race, I could care less if they run it for 10,000 in the winter at Aqueduct or in the Whitney. The only way is if you declare one a rabbit. And the truth of the matter is, if you're gambling serious money, you need to know in your mind that contrary thinking is a rabbit in here. And if you don't, you deserve to lose. The truth of the matter. So
Terry Frank, St. Louis, rabbits equals horse racing. Yeah. It's part of the game. It's part of the game, everyone. Now, fierceness. This horse is really good. I didn't like him in the Derby. We talked. He used to be immature. He's definitely learned to get through some adversity, Anthony. He's going to be in the clear. As long as he's comfortable, Johnny V is going to move him at the right time. This is a serious animal who absolutely could win and would be my top pick if there wasn't so much space in this race on paper.
Yeah. He has to answer the question of when do you move, not Sierra Leone. We know when Sierra Leone is going to move. The 3/8 pole. That's when Sierra Leone is going to move. When's he move? Does he move at the 5/8? Does he move at the half-mile pole? Does he move at the 3/8 pole? And again, you got to time that move to deal with these two speeds on the front end that they're gonna put on a real pace. They're not both.
No doubt about it. Here's a name from the past. I told you we got great fans from Tom. How about Curie's Clown in New York? Always a rabbit and sometimes one. Thanks, Tom, for bringing up Curie's Clown. I think that was a turf horse, if I recall.
If I'm not mistaken, Curie's Clown won the last turf race Cigar ran in.
Really? I'll have to look that up.
PG Johnson.
Wow.
And if it wasn't the last turf race, it was the next to last turf race. Curie's Clown won one of the last turf races Cigar ran in for PG Johnson.
I'm gonna look that up after the show. Let's talk about one more horse, Big A. White Abarrio is very polarizing. Some people love this horse, some people don't. I just don't see a scenario in which he beats Fierceness and Sierra Leone. I know he's run some huge races. I don't think he's the same. I know he freaked in the Pegasus, but that was a Gulfstream, and we all know about Safi and Gulfstream. I have a ton of respect for this horse. I just don't see it anymore, and I just don't see it in this race at all. I won't be well, you know what? Yes, I will be shocked if he wins. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to the horse or the connections. I just don't see it on Saturday, man. I just don't see it. But you've got him third. What kind of chance do you give him realistically?
No, you asked me for 3 picks. If I could have given you 2 picks, I would have given you 5-9. I just don't have anything clever about the others. Is there a scenario he wins? Yeah, he trips out. Sierra Leone gets in trouble. The old fierceness that's all finicky and quirky shows up. But he needs, like you said, arguably the 2 best older horses in training. I'm kind of with you. I think Mind Frame's a lot closer to these 2 horses than other people do. But he needs both of them to stub their toe. And he needs to show up because there's a version of him that shows up on Saturday that runs 7th and beats the 2 rabbits.
I suppose so. There's other horses we're not going to talk about. I mean, Post Time is a really nice horse. The 10, I just don't think he's at this class level. We mentioned Disarm. I've chased way too many times. He's just not damn good enough. I've lost way too much money over the years on Disarm.
I tap out on Disarm. I'm done. I got no more money.
Yeah, he teases you. He teases you. He's teased me in the past, and he Then he
How
says
many
after
times
you
have
once
you
the
said?
race is over.
How many times have you said after one of the races on? Now I got to bet this son of a bitch back next time too. Right?
Exactly.
It's just unbelievable. Just
I know.
incinerator.
I saw him this race. I was for 1 second, Anthony. I was like, I'm like, Howard, don't be an effing idiot. No.
Oh,
Okay.
I was ready to put him third. I was ready to give him honorable mention for third, 100%. Just like old habits die hard, but I had to get rid of it. I couldn't do it.
It's so funny. Let's go to our best bets right now, and then I'll let you talk about your podcast for a second. So your best bet of the sequence, you really like Think Big. Let me ask you a great betting question that we talk about on the show all the time, because it's not just about handicapping, right? It's more about betting and how you ticket structure and value.
Sure.
My first question is, how are you going to use Think Big in the Fourstardave? Just a win bet? Are you going to key him on top and a try, etc.? Number one. And number two, how low would you go on the win end with his mutual price at post time?
I'll take 9-2.
Okay.
I think that's a square price on him, and I think that's where it'll be. 9-2, 5-1.
Okay.
So I'll make a quote unquote caveman ticket, and my caveman ticket will have him singled. And I'll use like a 6. I think it's 6. I didn't write it down because you told me we didn't need a ticket, but it's going to be 6 by 3. Well, he's the 8th race, yeah. 6 by single, by 3, by 3, by 2. So whatever that is, I think it's $54.50.
Yeah, it's cheap. Now, will you play a backup ticket?
And then I'll make a backup ticket. The truth of the matter is, what I'll probably do now is, realizing it was only $54, I'll probably make the caveman using intellect and
Johannes
and Johannes. Yeah. I'll use, so that's $162, and then I'll come back and I'll hone it down. I'll pare it down a little bit, and maybe throw in a horse like, on a ticket where I single Think Big, maybe I'll throw in a horse like Beauty Reigns.
Sure.
I'll delve to you and throw in Final Gambit on a ticket, and I'll make like
you don't have to. You don't
no,
have to.
I will because you brought up some good points, and the blinkers on. It's a good stat for the connection. So
yeah,
and that's a race too where like we really don't both prefer hot as hell. No. If test score goes to the lead, maybe he doesn't appreciate it. There's a lot of quirky things can happen in there. So, the fact that I feel comfortable getting to the Whitney with those two makes it a far more manageable ticket, because if mine frames in the Whitney, I'm using mine. I'm not bumping the other two, but I'm using mine frame. So the scratch helps tremendously bankroll wise. But I feel comfortable getting to the Whitney. Yeah. Whatever you guys are doing out there in HHH land, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I feel like using the two big horses in the Whitney is enough coverage. And I feel really confident if we can get there, and we've both given you some prices along the yellow brick road to kind of get there. I think there's a chance this thing could have a nice payout too. I don't see this one chalking out. I really don't.
No, I agree with you 100%. Let me show everyone my best bet, and then we do a power pick tip sheet. Anthony, if you're not on the email list for that, I'm going to give it to you for free, my man. It's a really good tip sheet. It comes out every Saturday. You can toss it in the garbage if you want when you see the email, but I think you'll appreciate it. So I'm going to put you on my email list for free, man. So appreciate you coming on. Here's my best bet. I'm going to play a pick 3, and then I'll talk about my pick 5. We don't put our pick 5 tickets on the show anymore, but I will talk about my pick 5. Here's a pick 3 for people to consider. This is in race 9. This starts the Saratoga Derby. Hot as hell. See ya. Go back to Europe. I'm going 3-5 with 1, 2, 3, 6 in the test. Those are the horses we talked about mainly. I'll put Echo Sound in there, Anthony, because she is fast on paper. Maybe she wins. I don't love her though. And I'm going to single Sierra Leone. That is only an $8 ticket for $1. And I'm tossing out 2 favorites, Anthony, because I think Fiercest will be favored. If that hits, this thing's going to pay. It's not going to be life-changing, but if you play it for whatever you want, I think that's going to be a nice ticket, and that's going to pay. It's $24 to $3. Now, what I'm going to do in the pick 5, Anthony, for full disclosure for everyone, I probably should be using Fiercest and Sierra Leone on my main ticket, but you know what? I don't want to double my ticket with 2 horses that are going to be about the same price and low. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be ballsy. I'm going to play a bigger main ticket, spreading more in the first 4 legs and just going for Sierra Leone and singling and pressing up on that ticket. And then I'll play a backup ticket with Fierceness. That's my plan as of now. We have to see what scratches look like and etc. But I don't feel like doubling your ticket with the 2 main horses is the best financially. However, people might disagree with that because you'll say, well, you're going to get through the race. Yeah, but I don't want to double my ticket, Anthony, with a 6-5 and an 8-5. So how do you feel about that alone, just in general, when you're doubling your ticket with 2 horses that are going to be very low prices?
I think it's hard to answer the question in general because, again, there are days where you look at some of these all-stake sequences, well, almost all-stake sequence, and you feel like the chalk looks overwhelming. From what I gathered in this hour here with you, I think we both think every favorite could lose in the sequence. We both think every favorite could lose in this sequence, right? We got plenty of knocks.
So therefore, you think I should double the ticket? You're saying I probably should double the ticket
because I would.
Favorites.
I would just sense. Because I think getting there, you get there with an echo, not echo again, the horse you like in the first leg, or let's say one of the Saffies wins the first leg, right? You get one of the Saffies
look forward wins and maybe intellect wins and
right. And you beat if Move Forward wins. If Move Forward wins and Hot as Hell gets beat, those are going to be you're going to kick yourself in the ass when they hang this number up and it's 2,400, and you say to yourself, because now what are you going to do? You're not going to go bet them to win at 8-5 or 9-5.
I'm changing my mind. Thank you, and that's why I got you on the show, my friend. Appreciate
it. Anthony's to be costing people money since 1977.
There we go. Anthony, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Just because of time purposes, everyone, I'm going to save this part 2 for Vic Stauffer for next week because we had such a great time here with Anthony. We had to discuss this card. Before let's talk about your podcast, I'd love to be on it. If I know you got superstars, so I'm just a schmo. But I mean, hey, I'd love to come on. I'd love to have you on more often. So you and I need to talk off air on our show about that. But please talk to everyone about your podcast that you just started. It's a great listen. I've seen several episodes already.
Yeah. Big Time with the Big A. It's on YouTube. Head on over. What do I got to say? Subscribe and smash that like button if you like.
There you go.
That's how it goes. I've never been a YouTube podcast kind of guy.
You're learning, my friend.
Big Time with the Big A. We've had 3 shows so far. Trevor McCarthy, Matt Dinnerman, Kendrick Carmouche. It's a traditional talk show just talking about horse racing. And it's a lot of fun. We always ask the guests the same 5.5 questions. We have a charitable component. We take one of those tabletop horse racing games and we play for charity. Different segments, me telling some stories and just a little bit of everything. Once I get the hip fixed, we'll do some more physical stuff, some behind the scenes, day in the life of a groom, day in the life of a hot walker, which will be a lot of fun. There's things I did since I'm a little kid. But yeah, we have different segments and stuff. They run around an hour or so. It's unfortunate 2 of the 3 episodes we had to do tributes to Christoph and D. Wayne. So great job, by the way. Shout out to the folks over at Santa Anita and Gulfstream Park, renaming a couple of stakes races in honor of Wayne and Christoph. Very, very nice. Yeah. Nicely done, gang. So yeah, head on over. Big Time with the Big A. And we have the YouTube channel, and we're on all of the Spotify, Apple, Clear Channel, Pandora, and Amazon. We're on everything. Yeah.
All the listening platforms. Check out his new podcast, guys, and maybe I'll be on. Maybe I'll be honored to be on someday, and we will definitely get Anthony back on the show soon. Maybe as a regular co-host or a spot guest. Anthony and I will talk. Big A, again, thanks for coming out. Good luck in the Hambletonian, also on Saturday. Yes. And any final thoughts for our great listeners and viewers, my friend?
No, that's it. This has been a lot of fun. I always enjoy coming on with you and tell Tell Pete and
Pete
Paul
and
I'm
Paul.
sorry I missed them, but we'll do it again. Hopefully we'll do it again soon, and let's make some money. Listen, it's always a good time talking horses. It's an even better time after you talk horses and make some money. So hopefully we can hopefully shaving the beard didn't go to waste, and hopefully we get to make some money on Saturday.
There you go. Thanks again for coming on, Anthony Stabile. Unbelievable job. Look forward to hearing him in the future on many different platforms. For my good friend and wonderful guest, Anthony Stabile, this is your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 421 of Picks and Ponies. And as we always say at the end of the show, Anthony, crush your bets at Saratoga this Saturday. Take care. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.